I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass, and I'm all out of bubblegum.
This is the Virtual Real Estate Investor Podcast with Vincent Polisi. Buckle your seatbelt and prepare to learn how to legally make six figures investing in real estate with no money, no credit check, and nothing but a computer and internet connection. Learn how you too can begin generating buyers and sellers for free today, and why you're only 2 calls away from making a $10,000 or more payday while never leaving the comfort of your home. And now, your host, the virtual real estate investor, Vincent Polisi.
Today, top secret, $1 million wholesaling blueprint. And this is not sales spiel, my friends. It is not sales spiel. I'm going to prove it to you for those of you who have any doubts, okay? So before we get into this, let's talk about the current landscape, all right? The ugly truth is that 98% of real estate investors who enter the real estate investing arena, whether they're doing wholesaling, lease options, owner finance deals, cash flow investing, whatever it is, they fail, okay? Now, this is an actual statistic here. 98% fail. There's a reason for that, okay? There's actually a lot of reasons for that, which we're going to cover here. But that's the ugly truth, okay? If you're on here today, the presumption is that you're here because you want to make more money. And if you've been wholesaling or doing contract assignments, it's a tough game out there. I mean, it really is. It really, really is. It's a tough market. There's a ton of competition. You got a lot of people out there that don't know what they're doing. And as a result, what happens is because of, which I'll show you here in a second, people have a real bad habit of spending a lot of, because they buy these stupid courses, and they end up spending a lot of money and time and everything on marketing to yield very little, if any, results. And I've had people that have come in for, I'm talking about 6-figure income earners, not stupid people. I'm talking about guys that, they're intelligent people that were doing wholesaling because they bought somebody's course. And when we take them through the metrics, the average that they're making, when you break it down to an hourly rate after their expenses, is about $12 an hour. Okay. And that's what most people do. They end up buying a part-time job when they pay for courses and they pay for marketing and advertising, because most of these things that are out there are not teaching you the correct way to do the business. Okay. And I'm going to show you all of that right now, but I'm also going to show you how to 10X what you're currently doing. And I'll show you why we're even talking about this, so it'll make sense, okay? So here's the reason why most people fail. This is it, right here. Yep, buy my course and you'll be rich, right? Isn't that what they tell you? All you gotta do, buy the course. By the way, I sell courses too, right? And I got a course for you to sell you today too, so let me go ahead and get that out of the way up front. But I'm gonna show you exactly what the problem is and how we're gonna solve it, okay? So the key thing that you need to understand, for those of you who don't know who I am yet, because sometimes people get on here, they're maybe Facebook friends or following me or whatever. My name is Vincent Polisi. I am what's known as the virtual real estate investor. I've got more than 30 years experience in real estate, in sales, in mortgage banking, in taxation, asset protection, wealth management, you name it, raising capital, all of the above, okay? So that's who is talking to you today. I know what I'm talking about. And the good thing about it is that you don't have to believe me, because I'm going to be the guy that's always going to tell you to vet everything anybody tells you, including me, right? That's called due diligence. That's what actual investors do. What you cannot do, unless you want to go broke, is listen to these little internet celebrity gurus who tell you stuff without vetting and verifying the information, okay? Because a lot of what they end up teaching you guys is it's complete fraud. All right, you guys know that if you guys have listened to my podcast or you've been around or whatever it is, you know I bust these guys out all the time for the stuff that they're teaching people. And a lot of what they teach people is complete fraud, lying to sellers, falsely advertising, putting these bogus clauses in contracts about some third-party inspection that has to be done. Inspection has to be done by a third-party buyer that you haven't yet identified. All of these little things so you can get out of a contract instead of actually performing, because they have to go to those links to have you deceive people for a reason. It's because what they're teaching you is the wrong way to do it. Okay? What they're teaching you in most most times is completely incompetent. I mean, it is absolutely completely incompetent. And the reason I can see that, because I look at everything from a completely different lens. I'm not some newbie that's out there listening to, somebody that I've been impressed with on Facebook or on YouTube or whatever. I know how things function in the real world, because before I got involved in doing courses and coaching and all that stuff, I was a full-time professional real estate investor. Okay? That's what I did for a living. Now, I don't know how many of you on here are actually full-time, professional real estate investors. That's where the majority of your income comes from. But I assume probably a lot of you are not. Maybe that's what you want to be. But you're going to have to understand that the reason when you buy these courses on wholesaling or contract assignments, that it is so damn difficult and so expensive to get a deal done is because they're not teaching you the right way to do it. Okay? They're teaching the same crap that everybody else is teaching you. It's all the same stuff. Everybody does the exact same thing, right? It's all backwards. And if the fraud and incompetence wasn't enough, it's all backwards, okay? Because they've got you guys going out there and you're starting inventory first, which is an absolute, recipe for disaster. And so what happens is you go out there, you buy somebody's course, okay? It's loaded with all kinds of fraud. A lot of times you don't even get started. I've had people contact me and say, look, yeah, I bought this course and I just didn't feel comfortable with what they were asking me to do. And I said, well, what were they asking you to do? And they start listing all of the false advertising and mail fraud and, what's called fraud in the inducement and fraud in the factum and all of this bait and switch nonsense that they end up doing. And yeah, of course not. Why would you feel comfortable doing that? I don't feel comfortable doing that. It's not necessary. And this is the biggest reason. It's called bad information, disinformation, that most investors fail, is because they're not getting the right information. Okay. What you see a lot of times, you see a lot of these guys, and you guys need to be cognizant of this. Okay. When you see these people that profess to be super successful and they've got these big followings or whatever, a lot of times what you're going to see, because I see it, it's very easy to identify, is they've been taught how to do things illegally, right? Because it's easier to make money that way. It's easier when you can lie, cheat, and steal. And as a result, they attract a bunch of people that are like-minded, okay? So it's easy to get that type of a following when you're dealing with people that have absolutely zero integrity. So understand that for what it's worth, all right? And so after you get the living daylights knocked out of you, this is the average person that gets involved in real estate investing, okay? Average wholesaler, if you want to call yourself a wholesaler. That's what ends up happening, right? They end up just getting completely, devastated, depressed, frustrated, trying to understand exactly what it is they need to do to make money, right? Has anybody on here ever felt frustrated before? Now, what you're doing, is it not yielding the results that you want? Obviously, that's why you're here, right? Or you're waiting for some nugget of information or to see what kind of tangent I go off on. But nonetheless, it doesn't have to be this way, all right? But what you have to understand is that these guys don't care about you, all right? All they care about is the money, all right? And you need to understand that from the onset. And that's why I'm telling you, make sure that you vet all information from everyone, because most of what I see that's being taught is fraught with fraud and complete incompetence, and it's all for the almighty dollar. And it's not that they don't know. Some of them don't know. Some of them legitimately don't know, right? It's just they bought somebody else's course and then they modeled it, and it's the way, quote unquote, everybody else was doing it. And so they thought that it was all okay, and they didn't do any type of due diligence whatsoever to understand that what they were doing personally and what they were teaching other people to do was fraud. Okay, so understand that for what it is. But the good news is you don't have to do it that way to make money consistently and in large volumes. All right, so understand that. It does not have to be you beating your head against the wall. It does not have to be challenging. It doesn't have to be difficult, but you're going to have to follow a very specific system, okay, if in a process that works, if you want to achieve the success that you're looking for, all right? And so that's why after all of these years and seeing all this nonsense, I never wanted to do this before, but after talking to somebody the other day, I became very conscious of the fact that, unfortunately, if someone asked me, hey, you don't have any kind of course on wholesaling, where should I go to get one that's legit? And I don't have an answer. And that's the biggest problem. I don't have the answer. So because every single one that I've ever seen that's ever been brought to me, and that goes from all these little top guys that you guys like, Sean Terry, Cody Sperber, all these guys, there's all kinds of crap in there that, number one, is illegal, right? And number two, is completely incompetent and is not going to make you money. What they do is they try to get you guys all jacked up on a bunch of busy work and spending money on marketing before they've even taught you the business or anything like that. And what you really should be doing is going after the buyers first, because that's how you get paid. That's where the cash comes from. And instead of doing that, they have you go out there and waste a bunch of time and money on marketing, right? And then you don't even know what a deal is because you haven't talked to a buyer yet. And the buyer is going to be the one that's going to tell you what the deal is because that's what he's willing to pay for, he or she. But anyway, nonetheless, it's just out of that complete frustration that I have decided to put together literally the ultimate guide on wholesaling so you guys can get legit, straight up information. But we're going to take it a step further, all right? It's not just on what you think of as conventional wholesaling. It's on what you should be using as the blueprint for your wholesaling, and I don't even like to use the term wholesaling, but for your wholesaling business, for your real estate investment company business. This is what you should be using, okay? And I'm going to show you how it all got started. So I've been doing, since Saturday, well, I've been doing it for a long time, but I just opened it up the other day on Saturday for strategy sessions. Okay. And this is basically where I talk to other investors and, they tell me what their business model is and what's happening, what the pain points are. And I can give them, and it's all free, give them, third party guidance because it's very easy for me in many cases to see what the problem is and how to solve it because I can see the forest and the trees, if that makes any sense. Okay. I'm disconnected and disjointed. And so this investor and I were on the phone on Saturday for it was about 2.5 hours. And it was a really, really good conversation on both ends because number one, it let me know what was really going on out there in the marketplace. And number two, obviously it helped him tremendously because he really couldn't figure out what the problem was. And so he's actually here in Orlando and real sharp guy. He's doing between $20,000 and $30,000 a month in net revenue, okay, after expenses and everything else and VAs and all the other stuff, $20,000 to $30,000 a month. And he says, well, I want to be at $100,000 a month, right? And after I went through and I looked at what he was doing, he should already have been at $100,000 a month. Okay, the problem is let me show you. Okay, so the problem was he had all the pieces of the puzzle. Not all of them, but I had to add a few in. But he had most of the pieces of the puzzle put together. Or let me rephrase that. He had them all, but they weren't connected. Okay. So, and that's a big problem for most of you out there is that you have a lot of pieces of the puzzle, but you haven't put them all together yet. All right. And so as a result, you struggle. And that's not your fault in most cases. And I'll tell you why. It goes back to what we talked about a few minutes ago with this just, literal crap that you've been taught on how to do things, which is most of the time it's totally wrong and it's totally backwards. Okay. So understand that. And so through this conversation, like I said, it was about 2.5 hours long. I was able to completely fix what his problem was. Okay. To get him to the $100,000 a month. Now he hasn't implemented all of that yet, obviously, because this just happened, day and a half ago, 2 days ago. But it was very easy for me to see what the situation was. And as a result, that was the impetus for this webinar and this Facebook Live, okay? And the reason for that is because, here we got a guy that's making a bunch of money by most people's standards. I mean, hell, he's in the top 1.5% of income earners. You guys have heard me say that over and over again. 98.5% of the population makes less than $200,000 a year. So he's already in the top 1.5%. He's trying to get to the top 1%. And to take somebody, and let me qualify this, at the $20,000 to $30,000 a month, okay, that was 2 to 3 deals per month. So think about that for a second. 2 to 3 deals per month, average revenue, $10,000 a deal, and wanting to get to 100,000 per month. What does it take to get there? It's not, 2 to 3 deals a month does not take a month's worth of work to do. So there's, hint number one, obviously. And so as we went through this process, I started putting together the solution for his problem. Okay. And it's going to be good for all of you because it's also the solution for you if you're serious. Okay. And this is really it's only for serious people. Okay. If you're not serious, and most people aren't, then it's not going to, it's like everything else. You'll come in and dabble and not implement and, go back to doing whatever you're doing that's not making you any money. And that's what you can't do. And here's the solution. This was the solution. Solution was, this is what you guys should all be thinking about. It's called vertical integration. Anybody know what vertical integration is? No? Yes? Maybe? Anybody know what vertical integration is? All right, I'll give you an example. When I was, let's see, how old was I? This was 2001. 2001, I went to work for those of you in Atlanta, you'll know who I'm talking about, or North Carolina or some of the other places he's in. I went to work for the largest independent home builder in the Atlanta market. He's doing about $500 million a year in new construction. His name is John Wheeland. And John had a completely vertically integrated business, okay? Completely vertically integrated company. And what that means is not only was he the builder, okay? Obviously, he was a builder, had his own real estate company, had his own mortgage company. That's what I worked for, right? Had his own lumber company, had his own rehab or remodeling company. He had his own landscaping company, his own pest control company. I mean, you name it. Anything that you can think of as it related to what his core customer was going to need, he had the ability to provide. It's called vertical integration. So what does that do? Well, number one, it gives you a tremendous amount of control over your business. It also creates multiple streams of income. Okay? You guys understand that? And it also creates a much higher profit margin because instead of paying retail for lumber, guess what? He was not paying retail for lumber. He's paying whatever his cost was for his lumber house. Okay? Does that make sense? So hopefully that'll make sense to you guys. That's exactly how that whole thing functions. And this particular wholesaler that I was talking to, I should say real estate investor, but if you guys are on here, they like to be called wholesalers, okay? He had all the pieces of the puzzle to be vertically integrated and to have multiple streams of income, but was still stuck at 2 to 3 deals a month, okay? All right, does that make sense? So instead of having multiple streams of income, and see, the problem with 2 to 3 deals a month is that you have fallout or churn, and all of a sudden your income drops down to $10,000 or $0 per month. It's just not enough volume to give you any type of peace of mind. Plus, this is the other part. Part of the problem with the traditional wholesaling model is it's all transactional based. So, you work once, you get paid once. And that's not, you don't ever want to be set up in a business like that where you only get paid one time. That's what employees do. Employees work 40 hours, they get a paycheck for those 40 hours, that's it. They got to come back and do it again the next week. That's not the way you want to think. You want to be thinking multiple streams of income. How do I get paid more than once? And how do I get paid in perpetuity? Okay. Does that make sense? Hopefully that makes sense to you guys. And when you do conventional wholesaling, you're only getting paid one time, right? Well, you got to fix that. That's a problem. Okay. So when we talk about vertical integration, basically what it is end to end, okay? It's end to end where whatever your core customer is, whoever that is, you're providing every possible solution that you can. And what it is you get to squeeze the orange multiple times. So you're not only getting one squeeze of the juice, you get another one, and then another one, and then another one, and another one. I'm going to show you how this works. And so what this does for you is it takes you out of being a one-trick pony, okay? That's not what you want to be. You don't ever want to be the one-trick pony. And most people that get involved in real estate investing are one-trick ponies. They know one method, one strategy, one deal structure, one contract type, and they try to put all the square pegs into the round holes, and it doesn't work. They try to force every deal into the same exact deal type, and it doesn't work. And that's why they struggle, and that's why they don't make money, and that's why they end up getting out of the business or complaining or whatever it is, or why they're stuck in slave jobs because they can't get out. And there's a very good reason for that I'm going to show you here in just a second. So instead of being a one-trick pony, right, you want to be the person that wears many hats, okay? You guys understand? Hopefully you understand what I'm talking about. You want to be the person that has the ability to service the needs of the person that is your core customer. Let me give you an example of how I implemented this in my own mortgage company. Okay. So we utilized, if you guys understand mortgages, when somebody goes to apply for a mortgage, it's a very unique conversation because what happens is they have to lay out their entire financial life to a loan officer, a mortgage broker, a mortgage banker. Can be very, very uncomfortable for a lot of people. Okay. So, and for those of you that are just joining, we're covering what's called vertical integration. So for a lot of other industry types, it's very challenging. It's like pulling teeth for those people to get that information from the client. It's also hard for them to get clients like that. Okay. So what we ended up doing was we said, okay, we've got the mortgage business, and that's going to bring in high income, high net worth clientele. And when they fill out the application, which is not, I mean, that's just part of the process. Everybody understands that that's what they've got to do. There's no resistance to it. We have all of their financial data up front. We've got everything: income, assets, reserves, all their brokerage accounts, all their checking accounts, money markets, mutual funds, stocks, bonds, IRAs, offshore accounts, you name it, all their real estate assets, everything. We've got it all laid out. So, it's on what's called 1003. And so we said, okay, well, the mortgage is the conduit for the customer, okay, the person getting the mortgage. And what it did was it put us in a position to create what's called a unique selling proposition. And that's what all of you want to do, because if you're out there calling yourself a wholesaler, it's no different than calling yourself a realtor or anything else, because you're all commoditized. You're all doing the exact same thing. If somebody were to come to you and say, hey, why should I sell to you versus somebody else? What value do you provide other than 60 or 70% of ARV at closing? You don't have an answer, right? Because you've not been taught how to be a professional in business and how to set your company up. You need to have a unique selling proposition that you can easily convey to somebody as to why they want to do business with you. So in our case, because mortgage banking is a commoditized industry as well, just it's no different than realtors. We all do the same. We all did the same thing. All had the same lenders, everything was all the same. There wasn't anything I had that was any different than what Joe Schmo down the street had. Okay. So how do you differentiate yourself in that type of a climate or that type of marketplace? Well, what I did was, and this is what you guys are going to have to do, and we're going to cover that here in a second, was I got my skills up. Okay. I got super educated on asset protection, wealth preservation, taxation, okay, finance, insurance, you name it. Every component that a high income, high net worth client would need assistance with or would already have products based off of. And as a result, I could communicate with them at a much higher level than the average flunky loan officer who's out there just trying to quote rate and points. Okay? If that makes any sense to you guys, right? And most of those guys are out there and they're fighting over closing costs, right? Over, I want a lower rate. They play the info gopher, and their entire business model is not predicated off of value. It's predicated off of how much of a discount they'll provide the guy versus the guy down the street, because there's no value perceived or created or transferred. And so in that situation, what I did was not only did I get the skills up to have the knowledge to be able to communicate with them, instead of just saying, hey, all I'm thinking about here is a mortgage, I'm looking at their overall financial picture and saying, okay, how can we restructure this to, get you more liquid, which everybody wants, shield your assets, because most of the time these guys would come in and, they have stockbrokers and all this stuff, but they would not have done anything whatsoever to protect them. Although when, people work their pay plans and all the stockbroker want to do is sell stocks, right? He's not sitting here looking at the guy that, you got $1 million. Like one doctor I did a deal for. He's got $1 million house that's owned free and clear in the state of Georgia, which has some of the worst asset protection laws in the United States. And I'm like, dude, you have a cocktail and go home and hit somebody, and all of a sudden the $1 million house is gone because the asset wasn't shielded, right? But nobody had ever told him that. He's thinking, I'm going to do like what Dave Ramsey says and pay my house off, and that's a smart thing to do. And it was like literally the dumbest thing you could do. So instead of just being the little one-trick pony and being the mortgage, jockey, what we ended up doing was we ended up integrating through vertical integration, everything from, we had attorneys, we had insurance people, we had obviously the mortgage side, asset protection, wealth, the whole 9 yards. And I would put together a complete comprehensive plan for them so that I wasn't just sitting there quoting rates and fees. Okay. I was actually truly providing value and helping the client out, which helped me out financially. It helped out my partners, because I had insurance guys, we had real estate attorneys and tax attorneys and all the stuff that we referred business out to, all that stuff. And so we became, a vertically integrated office where we could provide for them a comprehensive plan and everything that they needed. That's vertical integration. In the case of John Whelan, like I was just talking about in the builder, he had literally everything covered, end to end. And that's what you need to be thinking about when you're looking at doing real estate and you're setting up your real estate business. That's not what these people teach you, okay? So here's how it works. Instead of just quote unquote wholesaling or doing contract assignments, you want to be a jack of all trades, but not the traditional jack of all trades. Okay, there's a catch here. I'm going to tell you what the catch is so it makes sense, right? You guys all know the phrase jack of all trades, master of none. That's not what you want to be. You want to be the jack of all trades, okay? And you don't have to, it doesn't have to be that way, the whole master of none thing. What you're going to have to do, what it's going to take is this. It's for you to do exactly what I did. Okay, now most people are going to rebel against this, and that's one of the reasons why they are not ever going to be successful. You're going to have to get your skills up. You're going to have to increase your knowledge base, okay, so that you're not the jack of all trades, master of none. You're the jack of all trades, master of everything. That's where you want to be. When people come to me and they talk to me about real estate or whatever it is, people said this for years. You're like a walking encyclopedia of real estate and mortgages and taxes and asset protection and all this other stuff. And the reason why is because I'm a perpetual learner, okay? Perpetual education. You've got to do that instead of wasting time on Game of Thrones or what's the other thing called Empire or whatever these TV shows are, okay? I don't watch that stuff. And, I'm not saying that you can't watch TV, but you got to kind of pick your poison here as to what you want to do to make your life better. What's more worth it, getting your skills up so you make more money or wasting time on that kind of stuff? That doesn't mean I didn't watch the Gator game the other night, because I did. But my point is that for those of you who are not where you want to be, okay, if you're not at the income level that you want to be at, don't think that just working harder is going to get you there, right? Certainly exponential effort will absolutely help increase your revenue. But what's really going, if you want to, I hate to use a stupid term, 10X, whatever, but if you really want to 10X it, this is what it's going to take. You got to get more training. You got to get educated. Okay. You got to get knowledge. Okay. And that comes in when you're going after these things, there's only two ways to get it. For those of you who don't know, okay, you're going to pay one way or the other. All right. You're going to pay in wasted time and wasted money through self-education and getting your hand burned on deals because you didn't know what you didn't know, and that snake came out and bit you, which obviously, a lot of people they want to go through that process, the pain process. I don't like that process. Or you're going to pay for a coach and a mentor, okay, and education, right? That's what you're going to have to do. So it's one of the two. You got to pick your poison, which one you want to do. All right, so let's break it down. But first, this is literally the most important thing that you must do, okay? And it's really funny that all this came down today, because this is a question that my wife asked me earlier this morning. And it was just I don't know, serendipitous that she asked me this exact question this morning, because I already had it set up for this presentation today. You got to think bigger. Okay, most of you, I want you to know, if you guys are honest with yourself, if you do a self-analysis, a self-survey, and you're honest with yourself, are you, number one, achieving what you're capable of? And number two, are you dreaming big enough? Are your goals big enough? Or should you be thinking bigger? Are you in a defensive lack posture and mentality, right? Is that where you're at? I can't, or it's too hard, it's this, it's that, or the other. Or are you thinking, hey, you know what? Instead of doing 2 deals a month, I can do 20 deals a month, right? Because you can. And the reason I know that you can is because I have, and you can too. But you've got to get the right education, and you got to get the right systems in place to be able to implement the education that you're going to learn. Okay. But the most important thing is you're going to have to think bigger. And if I asked most of you that are on here before you got on this today, what your occupation was, what your profession was, you probably say wholesaler, right? Well, that's the wrong answer. Okay. Or even if you said real estate investor, that's really the wrong answer. Let me show you why. Okay. So in talking to this wholesaler, he's not really a wholesaler, but he was doing contract assignments here in Orlando on Saturday through the strategy session. This is basically, here's your blueprint right here. Okay. You want to see the $1 million blueprint? This is it. And let me explain to you, I'm going to walk you through these so it'll all make sense. So the initial revenue comes from wholesaling, or in this case, contract assignments. If you guys don't know the difference in wholesaling and contract assignments, let me explain it to you real quick. Wholesaling it's an investor to investor sale and double close. Okay, that's true wholesaling by definition. Contract assignments are not wholesaling, but for some stupid reason, the industry is just ignorant and calls contract assignments wholesaling when it isn't. It's not the same process. There's different contracts. The income and revenue is taxed differently. The only thing they share in common is two things. It's the lead generation methods that are used, and they both have a purchase and sale agreement. Okay. Other than that, there's no similarity whatsoever. But nonetheless, so his initial revenue, the 2 to 3 deals a month that he's doing, which I think we can all agree is underperforming. We're coming in from wholesaling. Now, at the same time, and you guys need to check your state regulations because I don't know how it is in every state. I probably need to look into that, I guess. But here in Florida, you don't have to be licensed as a realtor. Wait for it. You ready? You guys ready? You guys know what I'm about to say? I don't think you do. I think you went off on a different tangent. You don't have to be licensed as a realtor to what? If you said wholesaling, you're right, but that's not the right answer I'm looking for. You don't have to be licensed as a realtor or a real estate salesperson to own a real estate brokerage. Okay. So he owns a real estate brokerage, but he's not a realtor. He's not licensed. Okay. So how cool is that? So you don't have to deal with all the regulations, right? And all the disclosures and everything else, but you have access to MLS and you have access to make money from a real estate brokerage. And basically the way that works for those of you guys who don't know is he basically has what's called a broker of record that he has some sort of revenue participation deal with that they, basically rents his license. Okay. And he owns, quote unquote, his own brokerage, even though he's not a broker. All right. So when we talk about vertical integration, so the first point is wholesaling to bring the deals in 60, 70%. The next one is realtor. Okay. And let me explain to you why that is, because now, if you guys haven't listened to that podcast episode, what happens is instead of, if I go back to this slide here real quick, instead of you being a one-trick pony, okay, right? Instead of you being a one-trick pony, you get to be the jack of all trades. Let me show you how it works in reality. Most people that do wholesaling as a primary business, as I've already indicated, are trying to put everything into the wholesaling box. Okay, and every deal does not fit into the wholesaling box. So in this scenario, what happens is because of the ability to list properties and because of getting educated, this guy was actually, like I said, he was a real sharp guy, underperforming, but really sharp guy. And it provides the opportunity to do what's called the alternative choice close. Okay, for those of you who don't know what the alternative choice close is, here's a quick rundown on it. Okay, Mr. Seller, right? Here's what I can do for a cash offer, which I can close in 10 days or less from clear title. Is I can pay whatever it is, 60, 70% of after repair value, whatever your actual number is, right? That's for cash. And if they balk at that, Okay, because a lot of people will. You guys know that. Anybody ever had a sell teller? You know they're not going to sell you the property at 60%. I'm sure it's happened to all of you. If they balk at that, well, you have two other offers that you can put on the table so that your time and energy are not wasted. Offer number two, depending on the condition of the property, was actually four different things, not three, it's four. So offer number two is an owner finance deal where you can pay full price, again, based on the condition of the property. I do these on high-priced houses that are turnkey that don't require all that stuff. But if you're doing wholesaling, in many cases, you guys will come across properties that don't need work or don't need a lot of work where you could do an owner finance deal and still profit, even though the guy's not going to sell you the house at 70%. Okay, so you got the wholesale deal, you have owner finance deal, right? That doesn't work, and the property needs a lot of rehab. You could do a JV deal with them and split the profits for whatever it gets sold for, or because of the real estate brokerage, list the property. Okay, he wants full price, doesn't want to do owner finance, doesn't want the joint venture, just stuck on that, list the property. Basically, the ability to provide every possible solution for that seller. Okay, so you don't have to walk out empty-handed, which, again, they're not teaching you guys this stuff because it's all wholesaling, that's it, let's just go do this, and here's how it works, and put all your 100 offers a week and all this crap. Doesn't have to be done that way. You want to be a full-spectrum real estate investor, okay, not the one-trick pony. So in addition to that, because of the brokerage also, and every state's different on what they require from property managers, so you guys need to check into it in your particular state, we're talking about end-to-end solution here, okay? Here, let me back up. I skipped the rehabber thing. The next thing was in contracting out. Now, I want you guys to think through this, okay? So because this is very linear when you actually extrapolate to think through the process of the needs of your buyers and sellers, okay? And if anybody ever asks, how do you make money in real estate investing? It's you provide solutions to people's problems. That's what you do. And the way this is set up, we're providing all the solutions, okay? So what happens is, in addition to being the wholesaler where he could assign the contract or double close, okay, and or being able to do the owner finance deal, and or doing a joint venture deal, and or listing the property as a realtor. Once that's done, also providing the rehabbing services for the end buyer and or on the JV deal, okay? Now, you don't have to be the general contractor to do that. You guys don't understand that. Okay? You can outsource all that stuff just like everything else. But what if you also had that ability, that weapon in your arsenal, that tool in your toolbox to be able to provide that services for your end buyer? Well, then what happens is this. You guys ready for some genius and some brilliance? Then you have the ability to provide a complete turnkey package, okay? Now, you want to, you may not understand the genius here, but let me explain it to you so it makes sense. So most of you are probably used to dealing with, what you call the cash buyer, right? And the cash buyers they're in it for X, whatever it is, X dollars and blah, blah, blah. And they want to beat you up on the price and all that, right? Am I right? Anybody? Somebody leave a comment. Tell me, is that correct? Is that what you guys deal with? They ever want to negotiate with you and beat you up on your assignment fee? And that crap gets old, doesn't it? All right, so Bailey, if one person says yes, I'm sure it's more than one. In this scenario, if you want to elevate your business, okay, instead of, most of you guys are thinking very, very small. You're thinking about, I want to be a wholesaler, I want to assign contracts, I want to get paid, and then lather, rinse, repeat, and do it again, instead of seeing the big picture here. Instead of just doing that, if you had the ability to provide all of these things, like I just showed you here, you have the ability to create turnkey deals, okay? And what that means is that instead of having to fight and battle with your cash buyers who are beating you up, it puts you on a whole new level because there is so much cash out there sitting on the sidelines looking for a quality deal. What am I talking about? I'm talking about people with self-directed IRAs, okay? Or self-directed 401ks that are not happy making, 2%. Negative, it's really like negative 4% based on cost of living and all that stuff. But nonetheless, They're not happy with making, two. What the hell are the banks paying today? What's a CD paying? Anybody know? I don't even know. Was it like 0.5%? Anybody know what CDs are paying? Okay, so 1 year is like 2%, 2.5, 2.25, 2.3 for a CD. Okay, and in this scenario, you don't have to be the guy getting beat up by your cash buyer guy, right? Your assignee, whatever it is. You have the ability to go out after a much better source of buyers. Okay, these are people that are happy to be generating an 8, 10, 12% return on their money. And that can happen very easily by you being able to provide them turnkey packages. Okay. It's not hard. I'm just telling you, it's not hard. The money is all over the place for those types of transactions because of all these people, and you look at it from their perspective, it's asset backed. Okay. So it's not like they have their money in Wall Street where they can lose the whole thing overnight. It's not sitting in a bank someplace at 2%. It's asset backed, right? It's got equity most of the time, and it's providing monthly cash flow. And you set yourself up in these positions where you also can cash flow off those deals as well. Oh, and by the way, handle the property management. Oh, and by the way, get paid for doing the rehab. And oh, by the way, get paid for selling the house. All right. Yes. Are you guys starting to see what I'm talking about here? About all the different layers of how you can make money and the multiple streams of income from vertical integration when you stop and you take off that little wholesaler hat and you put on I'm going to be a real estate investor hat, and I'm going to convert my wholesaling business into an empire, which is really what you should be thinking about. Okay. So in addition to that, so we got the rehabber out of the way, right? Again, you don't have to know anything about, you don't have to know a damn thing about rehabbing. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't learn it, but you don't have to be out there doing anything physically. You contract with somebody that does know that. It's outsourced, but you're, guess what? In that toll position once again. Now, next thing up, the property manager. Well, it doesn't have to be you managing the property. You guys simply have to manage the person managing the property. Okay? And what are you going to pick up on that? Another, 10% of the rent every single month? How many properties would you have to manage at 10% to cover your nut? And if you guys don't understand cover your nut, the nut you have to crack every month, right? Your monthly expenses. Probably not that many. 20, 30? Basically, it depends on what your income is and how much they're actually, what the property management fees would be. Okay, and then in addition to that, and this is something like, for some reason that I've yet to figure out, see, here's the problem. These clowns teach you guys to go out there and say, I buy houses cash, okay? When you damn well know you're not buying a house cash, right? You have no intention of buying a house cash, right? Am I right or wrong? Isn't that what they teach you? That's what they teach you, which is fraud, by the way. So don't do that until and unless you're going to implement what I'm about to show you. And that's this. It's very, very simple. So the next logical leap that he hasn't taken yet is he has a whole list of what you guys call cash buyers, okay? And that's another piece of the puzzle that needs to be implemented into your wholesaling platform, okay? You being the cash buyer. Well, Vincent, I don't have any cash, so how can I be a cash buyer? Well, it doesn't have to be your cash, okay? It can be somebody else's cash. It can be, again, like we're talking about. It could be hard money. It could be private money from somebody's IRA. You leverage other people's money, but then you put yourself in a position of control when you know you've got a deal, and you can squeeze as much profit out of it as humanly possible. And I know everybody likes the quick turn, making your little $2,000, $5,000, whatever it is, $10,000 on an assignment fee, and then get out and go off and do the next one. But just based on the time and energy and effort and marketing expense involved, that's a lot. I mean, it's just a lot to make just the scraps on the deal, which is essentially the position that you're in. And it's not necessary because there are other easier ways out there to do that. But see, they don't teach you how to be your own cash buyer, how to raise capital. Okay, I'm going to show you how to do all that. Because for those of you who don't know, me personally, okay, on my very first round, I raised over $1 million, okay, in liquid, wired directly to my bank account unsecured, non-recourse funds. Okay? Not collateralized by a property, nothing. I do whatever the hell I want to with it. Over $1 million. That's me for one venture that I was working on. Okay? So when I tell you that the money's out there and that you can get it, and it's easy to get, it is once you get your skills up and you do what I did. Okay? And it's not hard once you understand how to raise money. Everybody thinks it's hard to raise money. It's not. You just got to know what you're doing. It's like anything else, right? Okay, so next up then, another misstep that he was making for maximizing the revenue from his existing business was, it's the whole competition thing. No joint venture partners, right? No joint venture partners. So let me show you how easy this is. All right. Once you have access to, the access to capital, and you can legitimately, which you guys could do literally today, understand that today, not tomorrow, not 9 months from now, today, get access to capital, and you can legitimately be a cash buyer, right, out there in the marketplace. Well, some people are, there's a lot of people out there that are going to want a JV on deals, right, where they provide all the effort, you provide the capital, okay? And just another revenue stream that you're not being taught, that people are overlooking. I'm talking about a legit one, not like going out there blasting yourself. Hey, I'm looking for JV, joint venture partners and blah, blah, blah. I'm talking about legitimate bona fide stuff. Okay. These are all the different layers of things. And then here's the biggest one. This honestly, and I'm going to tell you guys a story here so it'll all make sense. This is the one that literally almost everybody misses. Okay. I would say 99% of the people miss. And here's how it goes. Once you have a credibility story, and that's key because you want to have integrity. You don't want to be like these clowns. Like I had some guy that was, and I'm not making fun of anybody, but this kid came to me. He's out in California. He's like, 20-something years old, had a wife and like 3 kids, and was living on food stamps and asking for free coaching and all this stuff because he didn't have any money. And, we help him, blah, blah, blah. He does a deal, makes like 19 grand. And as soon as he got paid, well, let me rephrase that. He got paid. And then, it was like 30 to 45 days later, blown through all the money, doesn't have another deal in the pipeline. And guess what? Launches his own course. That's not what I'm talking about. Okay. I'm talking about you have to have a credibility story and you have to be able to come from a place of integrity. Okay. But once you have mastered all this stuff up here that I'm showing you, it doesn't even have to be all the stuff. Hell, just master one of them. Okay. Just any individual one of these. If you have mastered that, then you need to be looking at monetizing your efforts. Because see, here's the difference. I had to explain this to him the other day. Was that okay? Like you go out there and you do a wholesale deal, and again, it's you work once, you get paid once. There's no recurring income stream, right? You never get paid again for that work. It's just work once, get paid once. Same thing as being an employee. You're a transactional investor, okay? But the way that the coaching and the courses and all that kind of stuff work, for those of you guys who don't know, and I had to tell them this, and I've covered this, for the last 5-6 years. It's infinitely easier to make money from selling information than it is doing real estate deals. That's why all these clowns are attracted to selling, and I sell courses and coaching, all that stuff too. So I'll point the finger at myself too. I'm telling you the truth though. Okay. It's a hell of a lot easier. Let me explain to you how easy it actually is, so it'll make sense. With this podcast episode, let me rephrase it. I was interviewed on a podcast back in December of 2012 when it finally went live. I didn't have any courses, no coaching, no nothing. Wasn't on Facebook. No, I had an account, but I wasn't. When you're out there in the real world doing deals, you don't have time to waste on Facebook. And so it goes quasi-viral. People start contacting me like day and night, left and right, nonstop. Hey, do you have courses? Do you have coaching? Do you got shiny DVDs? You got anything? How do we work with you? How do we learn how to do virtual real estate deals all over the United States? Because wholesaling sucks and it's hard. It's this, it's that. And I was like, good God, just leave me alone, man. I don't have any of that stuff, right? I'm a real estate investor. I'm doing deals, and you guys keep interrupting me. And sometimes I'm, a little more stubborn than I should be, a little hard-headed. And I got fed up, okay? And I really got fed up with these people coming after me. And I finally put together what I called the FU go away email, okay? Literally, that's what I called it, I still have a copy of it. Okay, you guys ever want to see it? I'll should probably post that one day. And basically, what it told them was, I don't have courses, I don't have coaching, I don't have any of this, I don't have a website for any of that junk, nothing. Okay, I do deals. That's what I do. And if you want to learn how all this stuff works, we can build a business in a box around you. It's going to be what's called OJT. For those of you too young to know what OJT is, it's called on-the-job training, which means you're going to learn by doing. Okay, and we can be on the phone with buyers and sellers, today, immediately, as soon as you send me $5,000 via PayPal. Okay, and that was it. That was my spiel. It was pay or go away. That was the whole spiel. That was the pitch. Okay. Let me as a professional salesperson and closer, I will tell you that is not what I would advise doing. But let me show you how that worked. Now, I want to put this in proper perspective for you, so you guys understand. Understand, I had no website, no course, no Facebook presence, no Facebook group. Nobody knew who the hell I was. They heard me for an hour on a podcast and then either emailed me or called me. Okay, and I basically told them to F off, pay or go away. Never expecting anybody to pay anything. Honestly, if you know the truth, I never expected anybody to pay anything. Ended up making like $25,000 in the first 5 days by telling people to go F themselves. Okay, that's how hard it is to make money with information, if you know what you're doing and you have an ability to provide value. Okay, so what I'm trying to tell you here is get your skills up. Okay, integrate these strategies into your business. Come from a place of credibility and integrity, and then profit and monetize that. Okay, profit from it and monetize that experience. You guys understand what I'm talking about? And most people don't think that way. They're not thinking about the fact that, okay, hey, well, now that I'm making 20, 30, 40, 50, 80, $100,000 a month, and his goal was to make $100,000 a month, and I'm like looking at the situation, I'm like, dude, you should already be making $100,000 a month. What's the problem? I said, I know what the problem is. The problem is you. That's the problem. Okay, I mean, you are your own worst enemy. The problem stares at you in the mirror. You've got all the pieces of the puzzle here. You're just not implementing. Very simple solution. Okay, and what he needed was my butt meat boot coaching to get him straightened out and get him moving in the right direction. Because otherwise, he's already demonstrated that his way is not working. Okay, to the level that it should be, or the level that he wants it to be, and he knows that and owns that. And what's going to change? It's like definition of insanity, doing the same thing repeatedly and expecting a different result. All right, Bruce asked a question. Can you explain how you would structure a JV deal with the owner of the property? Yeah, very simple. A couple of different ways to do it, but probably the easiest is, let's say you're going out there and most of you guys are dealing with these beater house, rat traps, hoarder houses, all that crap. If there's money that's if there's money that's required to bring the house to a good condition and all that, there's a number of different ways that you can structure those deals. You can joint venture with them and, they're providing the house. Okay. You can then help provide either the capital or the sweat equity if it needs repair work, but you have to know how to structure that properly so you don't put money into their house. You got to have it set up correctly. And what I mean by that is you don't put money into their house and then they tell you to go pound sand and you're out all the cash and all that kind of stuff. You have to set the contracts up correctly so that you don't get ripped off. But they provide the house, you provide the cash and or sweat equity, and then you guys split the profits. Okay, that's a very simple way to do it. Another solution is, if you legally joint venture and you bring in a buyer at more money than what you can pay, you can profit from that as well. But you always want to see. Here's the problem with one of the biggest problems with the conventional wholesaling model is you have a conflict of interest with the seller. The way they teach you how to do it. You guys understand that? You understand what a conflict of interest is? Okay, you want the lowest price, he wants the highest price, and you're at odds with each other. And what I'm trying to tell you here is that you don't have to be to make money. That's what they teach you, but it's not correct. It's not the right way to do it because you're not going out there to solve a problem. You're going out there to solve a problem in your bank account. You understand what I'm saying? And so you're not analyzing the deals comprehensively to understand, okay, well, if this particular strategy and model isn't going to work, what's my backup plan? And that's where you can go into owner finance. That's where you can go in if you have the access to do the buy a brokerage or owner brokerage or whatever, or get your realtor license or whatever to do a listing. Okay, so that way you're not walking out empty-handed. right? You've got a greater shot at getting that deal than anybody else because you can actually put together, hey, listen, I've got, this is called the alternative choice clause. Here's 4 different ways. Now, obviously, you want to go in with the one that's going to make you the most money, right? So if you can get the thing at 60 or 70%, and you can double close it or assign it and get your money and move on, then you can do that. But if not, then you're just going to walk out and make no money and waste all your time and all the marketing expense, or is something better than nothing? And in some of these cases, think about it. If it's a listing, hell, be 6% that you could get, right? I'm not saying, I don't have any desire. I had a real estate license many years ago. Florida is really nice because you don't have to have one to own a brokerage. So I would check with your state guidelines to find out what it's like where you guys are. And there's plenty of people that are out there with broker's licenses that are not utilizing them. So it's not a hard scenario to make happen. Okay. So understand that for what that is. But there is your vertical integration. That's how it works. You want to talk about the $1 million plan? This is way more. Honestly, it's way more than $1 million. Hell, the coaching thing alone, once you've plugged in correctly, is over $1 million a year. Okay, but in addition to that, if you're running all of this other stuff, you've got an entire platform. That's the way to do it. Okay, look at the big picture, 35,000 foot view, not here. Where is it? Not just this, not just wholesaler. Don't look at that. Look at all of this. This is what you should be working towards. Okay. This whole model, this is exactly what you should be working to set up in your business right now if you want to start making more money. Okay. There it is. Multiple streams of income, recurring monthly cash flow from potentially multiple different ways through owner finance deals, through property management, whatever, people bringing you deals, JVPs, okay, making money every single day through, courses and coaching, all this. I mean, it's a no-brainer. I mean, I don't know how I can make it any better or any easier for you because you don't have to do, and they don't teach you guys this stuff. It's unbelievable. All right. So let's talk about the money. So where's all the money coming from? Mo money. That's what we want. Contract assignments. Yeah, you guys are already doing those. You know how to do that. Double closes, right? Well, I don't have any cash. Well, go get it. It's not hard. Go get it. You can get transactional funding. And on a double close, if you guys listen to the podcast episode, you can do a dry closing. They want to tell you it's illegal. And what do I always tell you in those situations? Where's the law that says that? Show it to me. I can't find it. When we did that podcast episode, I can't remember which one it is. I don't even know what the hell it is here. If I pulled it up, somebody look it up and tell me which one it is. We did a podcast episode where I was on the phone with, I think was it Old Republic? It was Old Republic Title out in California with one of the JVPs. He was working on a wholesale deal and needed to get it closed out. Didn't have any cash, right? And we talked to the title company. And this is why you never listen to what people tell you, okay? You got to make them proof up. 2 different people at the title company said, no, you can't do it. It's illegal. We're not going to do it. We're not going to close that. And I don't take no for an answer. I said, okay, fine, whatever. Let me talk to the underwriter, okay? Because in case you guys don't know, they have an underwriter, just like in mortgage lending. Title companies do. And so we got the underwriter on the phone, and I explained the deal. And the underwriter, the actual person who's going to be signing off on the title insurance, said, yeah, we'll close it based on these conditions, okay, without you having to bring funds. And the conditions were very simple. It was basically they were only concerned about 2 things. Disclosure, which I don't have a problem with. Hey, Mr. Seller, I'm not bringing any cash to the table. I've already got the property sold. It's coming from the buyer over here. Sign right here, right? How hard is that? Not hard at all. He doesn't give a damn. Why does he care? I don't care where the money's coming from as long as I get it. You care where the money's coming from as long as you get it? I don't care. Right? So, and the seller's not going to care either. And then the other thing was the profit margin. Okay, they were basically trying to have it sort of mirror Fannie, Freddie guidelines as far as how the profit, the difference, the disparity between what we bought it for versus what we sold it for, which was fine because we were in tolerance. It was not even an issue. And most of the times you guys are going to be in tolerance too. So if they're telling you, if somebody's telling you that you can't do it, it's illegal for you to not bring cash to the table, you got to talk to the title underwriter, okay? And you got to get somebody to show it to you in writing. Where's the statute that says that? Because we were told by two people at the title company that was the case, but then the title underwriter, the actual decision maker, you always want to talk to the decision maker. No problem whatsoever, okay? Just disclose that this is what you're doing and make sure your profit margin is in tolerance with this. Fine, done, let's go, okay? All right, JVP deals. See, this is a big thing too. I don't understand this with a lot of people. A lot of people they come from a lack mentality, and they have I don't want to call it greed, but it's like, I got to have all of it. Maybe it is greed. I don't know. I got to make 100% of the money. And to me, I don't understand that concept because I'm wonderful. If I can make 100%, fantastic. But if I can make 50% on 20 deals or 100% on 5, I'm going to take the 50% on 20 deals all day long. I don't have a problem doing joint ventures with people, provided it's an equitable situation where they do their part. Okay, joint venture, for those of you who don't know, each of you does half the work or provides half of the value. Okay, that's how it works. So as long as they do their part, I do my part, no problem whatsoever. Okay, all right. Rehabs personally and as a done-for-you service. Okay, so rehabs on your own deals, because if you're doing wholesaling right now, you guys, and I'm not trying to be offensive, but you're taking the scraps because the guy that you're signing the contract to, I mean, they typically have a minimum of $30,000 per deal, right? That they're looking for profit margin. I'm talking about, and you can easily be picking that up. Now, why don't you do that? Well, I don't have any money. Well, go get the money, right? Well, I'm not a rehabber. Well, you don't have to be a rehabber. Okay, so finding general contractors is not challenging. I mean, pick up the Google machine. Somebody come out there and tell you what the costs are, and it's don't overcomplicate it, okay? And then as the done for you service, so that's another service that you could provide to the cash buyers that are buying from you. All right, owner finance deals, alternative choice codes, we already covered that. Listings, okay, another source of revenue. Rentals, okay, you say we talk about rentals and/or we talk about the owner finance deals, kind of the same thing. Monthly cash flow, property management, which you can pick up 10% of the rent per month. Portfolio sales. You guys know what that is? Where you're selling properties in bulk. So it kind of plays out like this. If you're out there and you're doing deals and you start getting either owner finance deals or you're getting rental deals or whatever, or even if you're doing the deal where you're providing it turnkey to investors, you then have the ability to also make money by selling an entire portfolio, 2, 4, 8, 10, 12, 100 properties at one time, like a tape, I'm talking about. So another way to generate revenue from things that you're already doing because you already have all these people's information, okay? And there's ways to legally profit from that even if you're not a realtor and it's not your house, as long as you have the contract set up correctly. And then, courses and coaching. I'm just telling you, but you got to do it from a place of integrity. You don't want to be another one of these snake oil guru shills that are out there, okay? Now, I know it all seems a little overwhelming, right? That's a lot. It's a lot to swallow all at one time. But you need to understand something. If you want to be a millionaire, it's not a mystery on how to get there, okay? I just laid out the path for you. And my advice is, if you're overwhelmed, it's understandable. I just hit you with a lot of information. You probably, I'll tell you this. If anybody has ever seen anybody lay it out vertically integrated like I just showed you as a business model, please let me know. Let me know who that person is because I've never seen it, okay, in these wholesaling courses, right? But you don't have to be overwhelmed, okay? Because I already know it. I already know it. That's the beauty of it. And that's what we're doing here today is showing you what your business can look like, the type of money that you can make, the machine that you can put together if you're serious, okay? And that's the key word there. Once again, serious. If you're serious and you need help, okay? That's what I do, right? And what you need is the blueprint. And so what I am doing right now, the purpose of this webinar is twofold, It's education to help get you guys educated on honestly what you should have already been taught that you weren't from all the courses that you bought and paid for. I just laid it all out for you for free. You don't have to pay me a dime. There it is. It's not rocket science. Okay. But if you're ready to take things to the next level, if you're not happy with where you're at, then I'm pre-launching this actual blueprint comprehensively with everything that we just discussed. And you can take advantage of that right now. Okay. And here's what you're going to get. Comprehensive training on how to wholesale legally, not this crap they teach you. Okay. Because everything's funny until they come put the silver bracelets on you. Right? How to wholesale legally. We're going to cover that comprehensively. And what I'm doing here, guys, just so you understand, because I've never put together a wholesaling course before. I've done webinars and stuff on it, or webinars and podcasts or whatever, but I've never actually put a course together. But there's just overwhelming demand. Everybody wants to do it. I don't know why, but they want to do it. Well, if you're going to do it, let me show you how to do it the right way and how to maximize profits, as opposed to, these methods that you're getting involved in that aren't producing the results that you're looking for, because it's not rocket science. Okay, it really is not. The problem is you're being taught stuff that's incorrect. They don't teach you. That's why I did that webinar a couple of weeks ago. What the pros don't want you to know on what they really do. And I'm going to show you exactly how to do all of those things. So how to generate more motivated sellers. Okay, it's not hard. You're just not doing it correctly because you're doing the exact same thing that everybody else is doing. And you got to stop doing that. All right. Next up, my actual contracts, the language that's in there, so you don't have to worry about people knowing what you're doing, for finding out what you're actually doing. Okay. Total transparency. No problems. No, if they balk because you're going to assign the contract, not a problem. We have a clause for that in the contract that they won't have any issue with. Okay. Next up, how to get paid at the time of the assignment. This is a big thing that he and I talked about the other day. And that's one thing that I think most of you guys want. And maybe I'm wrong, but you have no business being on a HUD for a transaction that you're not a party to. And you have no business waiting to get paid, okay, for some closing that may or may not happen. All right. Contract assignments are paid at the time of the assignment, not some future closing that you're not a party to. Okay, they're paid in the real world of professional real estate investing. They're paid at the time of the assignment. I'm going to show you and teach you the exact script on how to make that happen going forward, so you don't have to wait anymore. Okay, not hard at all. I've never once not gotten paid at the time that I signed a contract, not once, because it's just not how it's done. I mean, it's like there's no expectation of that in the actual real world. And so some of you are may have to learn how to retrain your existing buyers, or you may have to get some new buyers understanding. Here's the business model. This is how we do it. And don't tell me it can't be done, because it can, because I do it. All right. It's not hard, but you got to tweak a few things here so that you can get paid faster. Okay. That's what you want. How to immediately double your production and profits based on whatever your business model is right now for wholesaling. Okay. I'm going to teach you how to completely tweak that so that you can create your own unique selling proposition in your marketplace and not have to fight the cutthroat game that you guys are fighting out there. How to get more qualified cash buyers. This is so friggin' easy. It's not funny. I don't know why people struggle with it. It is not hard at all, but you've not been taught how to do it correctly, unfortunately. All right, how to access and leverage other people's money. In other words, raise capital. How valuable is that by itself? Pretty valuable, huh? But wait, there's more. How to do rehabs without being a rehabber. I'm going to show you exactly how that's done. That's not hard, okay? I've had stuff done all over the United States on properties I've never been to, in states I've never been to, whatever, and you can do the exact same thing. You just need to understand how to do it and how to not lose your ass and get taken to the cleaners when you set it up that way. All right, how to set up turnkey deals for monthly cash flow. All right, I'm talking about turnkey that you sell to other people, other investors. By investors, I'm not talking about real estate investors in the general sense that you're thinking of. I'm talking about people with these IRAs and things like that. There's all kinds of cash out there. You guys are struggling to get funding. You're struggling to get cash, and that's only because you're doing things the way that everybody else is doing them, and you're not creating a value proposition for somebody else that will be happy to come in and pay. Okay, and everybody that's on here can do this. There's no big mystery to this. Okay. How to never lose a deal. How about that one? You like that one? How cool would that be if you didn't lose any more deals? Wouldn't that be great? How to structure your owner finance deals. That's easy enough. How to get JVPs to bring you deals. Very, very simple, but again, stuff you're not being taught. How to structure your portfolio sales. And then how to, this is probably the biggest one that you really need to be looking at, because it has an ability to provide for you and create a whole nother stream of income, other multiple streams of income, other people bringing you deals, people paying you on a monthly basis, for access to your material, access to your time, that kind of thing. It's huge. But for some reason, I don't know what it is. Like, you're taught to learn all these methodologies to go out there in the marketplace and do them, but then not taught how to monetize that knowledge other than the practical application in a transactional business. And you got to think bigger. It goes back to what we talked about. Okay. You have access to an actual buyer's list. Okay. What I'm going to be putting together personally is an actual cash buyer's list per market with all of the pre-qualifications already done. So all of the metrics are actually there, so you know exactly what you're looking at, because you can't hit a target that you can't see, okay? And if you don't know what the target is, it hasn't been identified, you don't know what you should be looking for when you're out there in the marketplace. So has anybody had anybody bring them an actual buyer's list before? I doubt it, right? Anybody? If so, let me know. I'd love to know who that is that actually brought you buyers that bought properties from you. Okay, access to a private Facebook group. It's not the virtual real estate investor one. We're setting up another one. And then weekly group coaching sessions. And then probably most importantly, live deal structuring help. Because a lot of you guys need that so that you don't lose deals and don't waste a bunch of time. Okay. And so right now we're doing a pre-launch. It's actually going to launch on October 1st. And we've got a pre-launch discount in place. Once this thing goes live, and if we go back here for a second, we go back here and we cover all of this stuff. Okay. We go back, next, all this, I mean, it's ridiculous. The amount of value that's in here for what you're going to get. I'm going to sell it as a course with the additional information and modules and whatever, access to the buyer's list, that whole thing, starting October 1st at $2,000. But for those that join now during the pre-launch, you're going to get it at 50% off at $997. Well, it's maybe more than 50% off, but I think we're probably going to do $1997 and $997. Okay. You can get it now. We can start working on this stuff right now. You don't even have to wait, because I'm actively putting the stuff together, so you can be in on basically what ends up being the beta. Go ahead and get a bunch of your questions asked right now, asked and answered, so that we can we'll formulate a lot of it into some of the course material that's there, and you'll actually get to witness firsthand, so that you can do the exact same thing. A course being created live in real time, because that's what's going to be happening here over the next week or so. Okay. So that's it, my friends. I mean, I'm just telling you, you're talking about $1 million plan for right now. You have the ability to get it for $1,000, $997. So the only question for you is, are you going to keep going on with the definition of insanity, doing the same thing repeatedly over and over again and expecting different results? Because that's what most people do. All right. That is what most people do, sadly. And you got to, if you want to get to where you want to be, you got to kind of stop that. Okay, so I've got a couple questions here. I'm going to give you the link. Okay. What happens if you're new in the business? Well, Michael, if you are new in the business, then this is what you want, because you want to get educated properly on how to do things the right way, legally, that are going to get you paid the fastest with the least amount of friction. Okay, and that's what I'm offering for you today. If that makes any sense. Basically, what you're talking about doing is investing $997 into yourself and into your business for a 6 or 7 figure return. Now, the caveat there and the catch there is, are you actually going to do the work? That's the question. And most people, unfortunately, the answer is going to be no. So you gotta look yourself in the mirror and say, is now your time? Are you going to do it this time? right? Are you ready to take it to the next level? Are you ready to be successful? Are you guys ready to get out of slave jobs permanently? Are you ready to structure a business the right way so that you don't have to deal with what you're dealing with? And if that's the case, let's go.
Thank you for listening to the Virtual Real Estate Investor Podcast with Vincent Polisi. If you found any value in this podcast, please use our Give to Get method and take a moment to give us a 5-star rating in iTunes and your favorite podcast service so we can keep giving you excellent episodes of real content you can use to profit today.